You can now emulate the Virtual Boy on the 3DS, but for the first time ever, using stereoscopic 3D. Hello, my name is Brendan, and this is Sunday Quickie on Retro Game On. If you're new around here, in Sunday Quickie, we take a bit more of a cash approach, unscripted, and just check out the newest happenings and interesting tidbits in the retro gaming world. It's really just my way of trying to stay on top of things. At the moment, it takes me about 2 weeks to produce and release a traditional video. So, today's topic, let's quote Ars Technica. Ars Technica. Nintendo's lost 1990s VR console comes to 3DS thanks to a remarkable emulator. So this is called the, getting ahead of myself here, but Red Viper. So some of you watching may be wondering what the Virtual Boy is. I can't imagine there's too many of you, but just in case you're out there, the Virtual Boy was this amazing thing. So this was released by Nintendo in 1995, and it was then discontinued, depending on what region you lived in 1996. They really only had it on the market for about a year, and they didn't even crack 1 million sales. It sold 770,000 units. So yeah, yikes. Basically in the modern day, Nintendo they just kind of pretend that it doesn't exist. So it's good that emulators like this do. And this whole product, it's not a product, this whole project, that's the word I'm looking for, that we're looking at now, it's just one of those things that just seems really obvious in hindsight. A bit of, why don't I think of that? There's not many 3D stereoscopic 3D consoles out there. There's really the Virtual Boy, the 3DS, and I'm struggling to think of something else. I'm sure there is something else, but really, it just seems obvious. I've emulated the Virtual Boy before in my life, going back as far as my early teenage years, and of course, you can't experience the 3D effect. Most of us have this, a Nintendo 3DS, and this supports stereoscopic 3D without any glasses or anything like that, so it just seems like a match made in heaven. I just can't believe it hasn't happened before, but I didn't think of it, so here we are. So let's go to the GitHub page. So like I said, it's called Red Viper and is of course free to download. I'll leave everything you see here. All the links will be in the description. So this is based on an abandoned project called R3D Dragon, which in itself is based on another project called Reality Boy, or sometimes called Red Dragon. And that appears to date all the way back to the early 2000s. And like I said, I used to play around with these emulators when I was a teenager, which is going back a pretty decent few years now. So emulators have been around a long time, but like I said, you're never able to experience it using stereoscopic 3D, just in 2D. Have your retinas burnt out with the red and black in 2D instead. So to quote the GitHub, it uses a dynamic recoupler with busy weight detection and a hardware accelerated renderer to achieve high performance on the 3DS's limited hardware. And this works on both 3DS's, including the older ones. So obviously there's the bigger, I think it's just called the new 3DS, not so new anymore, but I just have this one here, the, what do I call it, my old faithful Pinky, which I bought brand new at a heavily discounted price right at the end of its product line, because no one wanted a pink one, I guess, but lucky me, still using it to this day. So along with the 3D support, all licensed games run at full speed, and that includes on the original 3DS, which has a slower processor than the new 3DS, I'm guessing. I think the new one is faster. And yeah, I just do this every time. I meticulously set out these notes, and then I just start yabbering and talking. They all just, they go out of order, and I start reading through stuff I've already said, and it throws me off. So anyway, back to the features. Game saves are supported, but not save states. That's coming soon. But I didn't actually save any game as I was playing, but I assume when it says game saves, it's just talking about the ones built into the game. There's also a fast forward function, which I found pretty cool, just to get through the big blocks of text at the start of certain games, so that's nice. But probably the coolest feature is the fact that you can change the color. So like I said, by default, the games are this striking red on a black background and they'll just burn your retinas out, or at the very least give you a headache. So it's kind of cool. You can change the color to something a little bit more mellow or something more crazy if that's what you want. But it's up to you. You can choose any color you want. And like I said, save states are coming soon in a future update, as well as circle pad support, which will be pretty cool. You don't have to use the directional buttons. And a few other features. They're all listed on the GitHub. So like I said, linked in the description, go check it out. Like, you know, button controls for menu in a more versatile color filter, stuff like that. So it's currently on version 0.9.1. So I think this is like the second release. Yeah, it started at 0.9 because R3D Dragon ended at 0.87. So I guess they're just sort of continuing that along. So for all this, we can thank presumably a lovely chap. Excuse me, lost my voice there for a second. Here he's called Sky Flugel, or Flugel, on his Twitter, well, ex-Twixter. He's just Flugel, and he comes from Belgium. So I meant to look up what a Belgian greeting was, but I didn't. So hello, it looks like you can speak English, so that's good. So your 3DS does need to be modded, but luckily a soft mod is fine, which is totally what mine is. I made a video about this on how to soft mod it, but I wouldn't recommend watching it because it's for a version that's not the most recent version. I only made my video soft modding this, like, it's probably within the last 2 years, thinking surely like Nintendo aren't going to issue any more updates for this. It's, I don't know, what year did the 3DS came out? It's a pretty old piece of hardware now. And I shit you not, like 2 weeks later, they released a new update, which they haven't released since that time. And it completely like negated that whole update process. So I'm pretty upfront in the video. I changed the title and stuff because I feel like there probably are 3DSs out there which are running the same version number as this one. So that's why I keep it up. But of course, people don't read things, and their 3DSs has the most recent update, and then they try and soft mod it and it does not work. That's not my fault. That's your fault for not reading things properly. Anyway, moving on. It's very easy to do, or it's actually not that easy. There's a lot of file transfer and stuff, but it's a soft mod, so you don't have to open it up and solder anything in or anything. As long as you're capable of reading things properly, like most of those viewers apparently aren't, and you have a memory card and a computer, you could probably even do it on a phone if you wanted to, but anyway, that's going above and beyond the point of this video. But basically, the 3DS needs to be soft modded. So with that out of the way, and for me it was super easy. There's an app called FBI that supports the inbuilt cameras, or one of the cameras, I guess. And I can't even remember where I downloaded it now. I was trying to find it so I could link it, and I couldn't. But basically there's a QR code. You just load up the FBI app here through the homebrew thingamabob, and you take a photo of the QR code and it downloaded. Of course, you do need to supply your own ROMs. They don't want to be nuked by Nintendo, which Nintendo seem to be quite fond of doing at the moment. RIP Yuzu. Anyway, so there's not that many games on the Virtual Boy, like actual proper commercial releases. Most of them are pretty good, I'm going to be honest. Like, I was really enjoying all the games I've played, and I've played them before, but this is the first time I've played it in stereoscopic 3D, and even though my eyes did go a bit cross-eyed after a while, I had a good time. Mario Tennis was actually like a wow moment. So I have played a real Virtual Boy before, at least once, maybe twice. I played it in a retro gaming store probably about 10 years ago now, and I feel like I've played another one since somewhere, but I can't quite picture where, probably in another store or at some sort of event. But at least that first time I did play Mario Tennis, and I thought it was really cool. And of course it was the first thing I loaded up on this, and yeah, like I said, wow moment. It really reminded me of that experience of playing it so long ago. So I think they're doing a pretty good job, the developer, old mate Flugel. There's also a bunch of prototypes you can find floating around the internet. I'm not going to link to those because those sort of are copyrighted IP, but they're out there, you can find them. And everyone I tried worked, and a lot of them seemed like complete games. Not like I gave them all really in-depth plays or anything, but they're all playable releases. And of course there is a pretty active homebrew community as well. So I tried a range of different homebrew releases. Some of them worked pretty well, the more basic ones. The more sort of intense ones didn't, basically. There's a couple of notable ones that I really actually did want to play in stereoscopic 3D, and yeah, they crash. But maybe they'll be supported in a more update. And like I said, on the GitHub, there is updates coming. So if you're after Homebrew, I can show you where to get those. I recommend a website called virtual-boy.com. This seemed like a pretty good resource for Homebrew. There's a lot on here. Some of it's even rated, which is handy. A lot of it's really old, like look at that 3D Battle Snake. That goes back to 2003. So, you know, 2005, there's some really old stuff on here. People have been homebrewing on the Virtual Boy for a very long time. And I'm not saying this is the best resource for homebrew on the Virtual Boy, but in my research, it certainly seemed to be like a good one. But anyway, that's Red Viper on the 3DS. A good way to play Virtual Boy with stereoscopic 3D. It gives you a headache after a while, but that's of no fault of Flugel. That's just a design flaw. But he's emulated it perfectly because the design flaw has carried along. That's all for today though. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.